Rengoku's final words in Mugen Train are some of the most important moments in Demon Slayer. Rengoku's speech not only serves as one of the most memorable speeches in recent anime, but also a reminder of what is fundamentally important to our lives. Don't dig in when you feel most vulnerable. Always keep moving forward. In today's video, we're going to be talking about none other than Rengoku's final speech. I've been wanting to create this video for a long while, 4 years to be exact, but after going through a lot of depression and personal issues, I felt it was needed to finally put this video out and pay tribute to one of my favorite moments in anime that, through all of these years, continues to help me. Set your heart ablaze with gamer subs! They're on a massive roll right now, as today they just dropped a brand new waifu cup for Panda, and trust me, these things go away quickly, so go and pick yourself up one really quick. They sell out immediately. As for flavor, my favorite is the Jujutsu Kaisen flavor. It helps me focus when I need it the most, coming packed with nootropic and your choice of caffeine or caffeine-free. Skip the training arcs and recovery from deadly battles. My partner at Gamer Subs has your back. Get 10% off using my code or link. After Akaza is dealt with and sent away with his tail between his legs, Rengoku witnesses the impassioned speech from Tanjiro as he proclaims Rengoku the true victor of this battle. Severely hurt, out of breath, and crying, Rengoku sees this youthful passion in this young boy, and so it has Rengoku smirking by the end of it. Telling him to stop yelling already, as doing so would reopen his wound, shows one of Rengoku's best traits, which is his care for people. If his wounds were to reopen, he'd die, and Rengoku would actually be defeated. So he asks for him to come over to speak one final time. He tells Tanjiro where he may find information on the Hinokami Kagura, but more importantly, that he will soon be dead and to hear his final words. He tells Tanjiro of his brother Shinjiro and to find him and tell him to follow his heart and walk down the path he feels is right. And as well, despite his neglectful behavior, he wants him to tell his father to take better care of himself. And finally, Tanjiro's sister, that he believes in her and that he accepts her as a part of their ranks. Rengoku believes that despite whoever a person may be, if they shed blood to protect those from demons, which is what Nezuko did, then they are a rightful member of the Slayers, no matter what anyone says. He tells Tanjiro to hold his head tall and proud because he should be celebrating what Nezuko has done and achieved. As Tanjiro begins to tear up even more, he tells him that if he ever feels disheartened, and if he's somehow not enough, to set his heart ablaze. This is significant to Tanjiro because he believes he didn't do enough to protect Rengoku, that if only he were stronger, that if he were enough, then he could have saved him and stopped the demons on his own, that he would have been able to fend off Akaza without the help of Rengoku or anyone else, just him. At this moment, Tanjiro is physically and emotionally weak. He's devastated that his new master that he looked forward to so much to train and learn from is now dead, and that it may be his fault. But Rengoku's words offer an important life lesson. In these moments, especially, it's important to set your heart ablaze instead of giving in to the thoughts of being lesser than or not enough. It's important to not act emotionally or logically, but instead to count on yourself. Double down on yourself, grit your teeth, and look straight ahead. Not into the future or to the past, but the here and now, the present. Digging into a shell will do nothing for you but to let time pass before your eyes, and before you know it, you've spent your precious time alive wasted. Because as he says, the flow of time waits for nobody. It doesn't stop. It won't comfort or wait for you to grieve, because life is brutal. It will throw another thing at you before you know it. It's better to act now than to act when you're comfortable, if there even is such a luxury for you. And likely, there isn't. Rengoku tells Tanjiro that he shouldn't feel bad he's going to die, because this is what he has accepted in his life. He knew becoming a Hashira would mean he likely would die an untimely death, though he knew above all that his duty was to protect those under and below him, to nurture the next generation of demon slayers, because that is what is most important. Without a new generation to carry on and move forward, the Hashira would eventually die out and the demons would win. And this act of self-sacrifice is something any other Hashira would do because it is required to save everyone. Because in protecting those below him, he allows them to learn and grow and become just as great, or ideally even greater than those before, to become the next Hashira. So that's what he tells them, that they must continue this journey of growth. He has no choice but to believe in them. To me, what Rengoku is doing here is accepting his time will eventually come to pass just as it is right now, and that instead of fighting the next generation, he accepts them all for what they are and pushes them to achieve greater in their lives. He wants to nurture them. This acceptance of reality is something that plays a massive part in the ideology of Rengoku. It started when he was young and after he lost their mother. His father always told him that he would be nothing and do nothing. And when you consider the final message he wants to give his father to take better care of himself, you realize that he was forced to set his heart ablaze, so to speak. He could have given in and accepted what his father told him as a child, but he didn't because he could see in front of him a man who was hurt and grieving. That's why he tells Tanjiro the world will not wait while he grieves and feels lesser than, because he experienced firsthand what that does to a man. It happened to his father as he wastes away due to heartache and grief. This also means that Rengoku isn't speaking from an ideal or some moral obligation to do the right thing. He's speaking from truth and experience, and an experience that not many get to speak from. That is what gives Rengoku legitimacy in not only his words, but most importantly, his actions. His fight with Akaza is a representation of his belief that he must fight to solely protect. He told Tanjiro it was up to him to give up his life to save him. Anyone else would do it, and so he did it. He took an arm to the chest because he knew that if he backed down and gave into Akaza's words, that he'd be turning his back on his father, his mother, his younger brother, and his Sugoku who look up to and idolize him. So what else could he do than commit to the ultimate sacrifice, the moment he was prepared for when taking the job, to protect those in danger until his final breath. He then sees the ghostly image of his mother as his eyes widen. Seeing her, he asks her if he's done well. Did he use the blessing he was given to carry out his duties and use them to fulfill his responsibilities? He's asking her if his life wasn't wasted. That it meant something. She tells him that, basically, she's so proud of him. Now glowing with a fiery radiance, he gives an earnest smile back, full of joy. And I found this unique because typically with deaths, they tend to not be as graceful as these. If anything, when deaths like this occur, it's more or less a big bummer, but this anime took a different approach by noticeably making the colors more vibrant and Rengoku looking happy and content at the end of his life. So hearing this, he passes away as the smile slowly fades and his head tilts downward. The first thing we see after is either the blazing sun or the moon, which is very fitting for Rengoku. Being the flame Hashira, he truly embodies these celestial bodies. Just like how you can count on the sun to rise for another day, you can always count on Rengoku to rise to the occasion. Rengoku was an unstoppable force and the immovable object. They then realize the reason they survived the train's derailing. Hell, the reason there are 0 casualties is because of Rengoku. He used all of his techniques to save everyone. In disbelief over an upper rank showing up, Tanjiro in tears is frustrated. As soon as he was able to get over a hurdle and become stronger, suddenly there was an even taller and bigger one right in front of him to climb. What makes it even more frustrating is that while he is trying to get through these hurdles, on the other side are all of these amazing people fighting with such amazing skill and power. But he can't make it over. And if he's still stumbling around in the dark, how could he ever hope to get over these hurdles? How could he ever hope to become someone as great as Rengoku if he can't get over these hurdles? Hearing these words, it affects Zenitsu and Inosuke, but surprisingly drives Inosuke to action. He says that there is no point now in crying or blabbering because Rengoku already said he believes in them. Eventually, just like Rengoku, they'll die, so feeling sorry for themselves now is no use. After all, look at what happened to Rengoku's father. The key is that despite how you may feel, even if you're at your worst, you just gotta keep on living and pushing forward every step of the way. He then, quite literally, drags them to begin their recovery and training. It's a funny moment, sure, but it shows that Inosuke fully absorbed and understood what Rengoku wanted from them. He knows there is no point in wasting life from here on out because Rengoku saved them and sacrificed his own to do so. Rengoku, in a way, has given them no choice but to achieve more and be better than him. When someone gives up their life, after all, for your life, that means you are, by default, just as or more important than them when it comes to your future potential. Rengoku's death is perfect in every single way. This is why I don't really understand people who say Demon Slayer is simplistic to a fault and has no story or characters, because Rengoku's death is a perfect example of Demon Slayer's strength. Yeah, the series is simple, but simplicity doesn't mean it's inherently low quality. It's a pretty embarrassing misconception to have about simple stories, because it's the most simplest and tried and true stories that often produce some of the most timeless works of fiction. Rengoku's death is one of those moments that every time I watch it, and literally as I write and recorded this script, I cried. Because I can't help but cry, because this is such a human speech. It gets down to the very core of what it's like to suffer and push forward as a human being. All people around the world, no matter who you are, rich, famous, poor, or invisible, we all suffer in the same ways that Rengoku did. The circumstances are different, and the periods don't match up, but this scene is great because of its simplicity. It's a simple message for a common person to live life to its fullest, because one day you will die. You cannot run away from it. It's coming for all of us, and one day we will be forgotten about to the construct of time. So when I am feeling down and out, like I'm not enough, and boy do I sure quite feel like that often in my life, this speech always never fails to lift me. It doesn't motivate me, granted. I think motivation really is a useless concept, but what it does do is it grounds me to reality. It reminds me of my potential and the gift of life that I was given. And you know, the doomers may be right. It may mean nothing, but at the very least, it means everything to me. Rengoku wasn't just the flame Hashira. He was the embodiment of a fiery soul of which his flames couldn't be extinguished even when his mother died, even when his father neglected them, even when his little brother had lost all hope, and even when he died. He faced life with a fire that burned so bright it could not be put out. Rengoku's speech was made as a reminder that we are much stronger than we think and have more potential than we can even see or realize until we achieve it. Sure, there may be even higher and thicker walls as soon as you get over it, and that's frustrating, but keep climbing, because on the other side of that wall is a group of people and your future waiting for you to fight with them. That is the truth in which Kyojuro Rengoku embodied and lived. Set your heart ablaze, dry your eyes, and look forward. Thank you all so much for your viewership. I waited 4 years to finally make this video, and I enjoyed it every step of the way. So if you'd like to show your support, simply drop a like and comment your thoughts on Rengoku's words and what they meant to you, and subscribe because I cover Demon Slayer every Sunday when a new episode drops. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.